Hello, dear listener. Welcome to Calm Cloud Chronicles, where imagination drifts and stories unfold. Sit back, relax, and let the journey begin. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more soothing tales. Tonight, we embark on two timeless journeys of love, sacrifice, and the bonds that transcend time and form. First, let us dive into the depths of the sea with Urashima Taro, a fisherman whose kind heart leads him to an enchanted undersea palace where time bends and dreams unfold. Then, we will soar among the hills and fields with the crane wife, our tale of selfless devotion and the secrets we keep for the ones we hold dear. Find a cozy spot, let the world fade away, and allow these tender stories to guide you into tranquility. Let us begin. The Tale of Urashima Taro. Far away on the sun-kissed shores of a tranquil fishing village, there lived a humble fisherman named Urashima Taro. Each morning, he would set out in his small wooden boat, the gentle waves lapping against its sides, as the golden sunlight danced on the water. Urashima was known for his kind heart, for he cherished the sea and all its creatures as if they were his family. One serene afternoon, as he cast his net into the crystal-clear waters, Urashima noticed a commotion on the shore. A group of children had gathered, their excited cries mingling with the sea breeze. Curiosity guiding him, Urashima beached his boat and found the children teasing a small, struggling sea turtle tangled in the reeds. With a calm smile, Urashima knelt by the frightened creature. "Be at peace," he murmured softly, untangling the reeds with careful hands. "You are free now." The turtle gazed up at him, its dark, glistening eyes filled with what almost seemed like gratitude, before it crawled back into the rolling waves and disappeared into the sea. Urashima thought no more of the encounter, but the ocean had not forgotten his kindness. Days later, as he sailed farther from the shore than ever before, he was startled by a strange sight. A gleaming palace of coral and pearl rose from the water, shimmering like a dream against the endless blue sky. Before he could comprehend what he saw, the sea turtle he had saved appeared beside his boat, its gaze wise and knowing. "Kind fisherman," the turtle spoke, its voice as clear and soothing as a gentle tide, "I am the servant of Otohime, the princess of the Dragon Palace. She invites you to her realm beneath the sea, to thank you for saving my life." Urashima, filled with awe and curiosity, stepped onto the turtle's back, and with a swift dive, they plunged beneath the waves. The world above faded away as a luminous underwater kingdom unfolded before his eyes, a realm of vibrant coral gardens, schools of fish like living jewels, and the soft glow of an endless ocean twilight. Urashima could scarcely believe his eyes. The Dragon Palace was a realm of indescribable beauty, a place where time seemed to stand still, and peace enveloped every corner. Majestic gates crafted from mother-of-pearl swung open, and he was greeted by Otohime, the princess of the sea. She moved like a ripple on still water, her presence radiant yet serene, her voice carrying the melody of ocean waves. "Welcome, Urashima Taro," she said with a gentle smile. "Your kindness has not gone unnoticed. Please, be our honored guest and enjoy the treasures of the Dragon Palace." Days turned into nights, and time lost meaning as Urashima delighted in the wonders of the palace. He dined on banquets of sea delicacies, accompanied by music played on conch shells and coral harps. Schools of fish performed graceful dances, their scales shimmering like rainbows in the pale glow of the ocean depths. Otohime herself was a gracious hostess, sharing tales of the sea and its timeless wisdom. In her presence, Urashima felt a sense of tranquility he had never known. Yet, deep in his heart, a quiet yearning began to stir, the longing to see his family and his village once more. Sensing his unspoken thoughts, Otohime approached him one evening in the Grand Coral Gardens. "Urashima Taro," she said softly, "though our time together has been joyful, I understand your heart calls you home. You are free to leave whenever you wish. But take this with you." She held out a small, ornate box, shimmering with mother of pearl and bound with golden threads. "This is the Tamat Bako, a gift of gratitude from the Dragon Palace," she explained. "Promise me you will never open it, for it holds the essence of our realm and your time here." With a heavy heart, Urashima bid farewell to Otohime and the enchanted palace. Riding once more on the back of the sea turtle, he ascended to the surface, the warm sunlight of the world above welcoming him like an old friend. Yet, as he reached the shore, something felt different. The village seemed unfamiliar, its people, its buildings, even the coastline itself. Urashima stopped a passerby. "Excuse me, sir," he called out. "I am looking for my family, the House of Taro. Can you tell me where it is?" The man gave him a puzzled look. "Taro? I've never heard that name. That must have been long ago." A cold realization swept over Urashima. How many years had truly passed in the Dragon Palace? In despair and confusion, his trembling hands reached for the Tamat Bako. Despite his promise to Otohime, he untied the golden threads and opened the box. As the lid of the Tamat Bako lifted, a soft, pearlescent mist rose into the air. It swirled gently around Urashima, shimmering like the light of the Dragon Palace. But as the mist touched his skin, a strange sensation overtook him. His strength began to wane, his body growing frail and aged. His hands, once steady, trembled like leaves caught in the wind. In that moment, he realized the truth. The Tamat Bako was not a treasure of riches, but a vessel containing the passage of time. All the years he had unknowingly left behind in the mortal world while he stayed in the timeless realm of the Dragon Palace now returned to him in an instant. Centuries had passed, and everything he had known, his family, his home, his village, was lost to the flow of time. As Urashima Taro marveled at the breathtaking dragon palace, days became weeks, and each day brought new wonders. The palace was alive with magic, coral gardens that shimmered like starlit skies, fountains of liquid silver that sang as they flowed, and hallways filled with the faint echoes of ancient ocean songs. Urashima formed a deep bond with Otohime, the princess of the sea. She would guide him through the palace, revealing its secrets. One day, she led him to a chamber filled with glowing orbs, each swirling with colors like an aurora trapped in glass. "These are the dreams of those who dwell above the waves," Otohime explained, her voice as soft as the tide. "Every dream sends ripples through the currents of this world, just as the ocean shapes the land. The sea and the dreams of mortals are forever entwined." Urashima spent hours in awe of the orbs, fascinated by how each one told a story of love, longing, joy, and sorrow. One orb caught his attention, a golden light that pulsed gently, soothing yet familiar. "What dream is this?" he asked. Otohime hesitated, her expression tinged with sadness. "That is your dream, Urashima Taro. The dream of a fisherman who once lived by the sea." Her words stirred something deep within him, a mixture of nostalgia and unease. He loved the Dragon Palace, but he began to feel the weight of time slipping through his fingers. Were his family and home still waiting for him above the waves? One evening, as he wandered the coral gardens, Urashima encountered a figure unlike any he had seen before. A being made entirely of water, its form shifting and flowing. It spoke in a voice like the crashing surf. "Why do you linger here, fisherman? The world you left behind calls to you." Urashima pondered the being's words, and his longing to return grew stronger. Yet, he feared what he might find. What if everything had changed? What if nothing remained of the life he knew? Otohime, noticing his restlessness, approached him the next morning. "Urashima," she said gently, "your heart no longer belongs to this place. I see the tides of change within you. If you must go, know that I will always cherish the time you spent here." She handed him the tamatbako, her gaze heavy with meaning. "Remember, this box is a gift, but it is also a test. It holds the essence of your journey here. Guard it well, and do not open it unless you are ready to face what lies within." With a heavy heart, Urashima bid farewell to Otohime and the wonders of the Dragon Palace. The sea turtle that had once brought him to this magical world now carried him back to the surface. As he broke through the waves, the sunlight warmed his face, and the salty breeze filled his lungs. But the shoreline was not as he remembered. The cliffs seemed taller, the trees older, and the village. The village was gone. Only ruins remained, overtaken by nature. Urashima stepped onto the sand, his heart heavy with questions. Urashima stood on the desolate shore, clutching the tamatbako in his trembling hands. The ruins of the village spoke of time's merciless tide. Stones once stacked to build homes now lay scattered, overgrown with moss and wildflowers. The laughter of children and the hum of daily life were replaced by an eerie silence, broken only by the soft crash of waves. As he walked through the remnants of his village, memories flooded back. A child running to greet him at the shore, the comforting aroma of rice cooking over an open fire, and the familiar sounds of the ocean mingling with the voices of his loved ones. Yet, the people he longed to see were nowhere to be found. Their absence pressed heavily on his heart. The tamatbeko glimmered in his hands, a reminder of the world he had left behind under the sea. The box had promised to safeguard the essence of his time in the Dragon Palace, but now it felt like it carried the weight of his past, his choices, and the life he had missed. What lay within? A gift? A curse? Or something beyond understanding? Unable to resist any longer, Urashima opened the box. The pearlescent mist that rose from it enveloped him, swirling in an embrace both gentle and overpowering. Within the mist, he saw visions, glimpses of his life at the Dragon Palace, the kindness of a Tohime, and the moments of wonder he had experienced. But more than that, he saw the passage of time itself, flowing like a river, relentless and unyielding. As the mist dissolved into the air, Urashima felt his body grow weak and frail. His hands, once strong from years of fishing, aged and weathered before his eyes. His knees buckled, and he fell to the ground, gasping for breath. Time, which had waited for him so patiently, had finally caught up. Yet, as the transformation took hold, Urashima felt a strange peace wash over him. The visions of the Dragon Palace lingered in his mind, blending with the memories of his village. He realized that though time had taken much from him, it could never erase the moments of beauty, love, and kindness he had experienced. These moments were eternal, living on in the ripples they created, just as a Tohime had shown him in the Chamber of Dreams. Urashima closed his eyes, his body cradled by the earth of the village he had once called home. As the waves reached the shore, a lone sea turtle appeared, its wise gaze fixed on him. It watched in silence as the fisherman became one with the land he had longed for, his spirit carried on the wind, the waves, and the dreams of those who would one day hear his tale. As Urashima wandered the ruins of his village, a sense of familiarity mingled with the unsettling reality of its desolation. He noticed symbols carved into the crumbling stones, patterns resembling waves, spirals, and what appeared to be turtles. These markings, once overlooked in his youth, now resonated with the magic of the Dragon Palace. His gaze fell upon an old shrine on the village outskirts, half buried by earth and roots. The structure was dedicated to Ryujin, the dragon god of the sea. Memories surfaced. He and other children had once played near this shrine, tossing pebbles into its basin without understanding its significance. Now, standing before it, he felt the weight of its purpose. As Urashima approached the shrine, the faint echo of a song reached his ears. It was the same melody that had drifted through the dragon palace, soft and haunting. A voice, neither entirely human nor entirely otherworldly, spoke. "Urashima Taro, do you remember the covenant?" Confused yet intrigued, he knelt before the shrine. "Covenant? What covenant?" he asked aloud. The voice continued, as if carried by the ocean breeze. "Long ago, your people sought the favor of the sea. They gave offerings to Ryujin, and in turn, the Dragon Palace granted them bountiful waters and safe voyages. But as the years passed, the bond faded, and the people forgot their promises. Only one remained true to the sea, you, Urashima Taro." Urashima's heart raced as the pieces began to fit. His act of saving the turtle had not just been a moment of kindness, it was a rekindling of the ancient pact between his people and the sea. The Dragon Palace had recognized his heart as a bridge between two worlds, inviting him to restore harmony. The shrine shimmered faintly, and the voice grew softer. "The sea chose you, Urashima. You are its messenger, its guardian. But the choice is yours: return to the Dragon Palace, where time has no hold, or remain here, where the legacy of your people can begin anew." Urashima was torn. The Dragon Palace had offered him wonder and peace, but the ruins of his village spoke of duty and resilience. He glanced at the Tamat Bako, now empty in his hands, and realized its true meaning. It was not a gift of time lost, but a reminder of time's flow and the choices that shaped it. Urashima stood before the shrine of Ryujin, the dragon god, his heart heavy with the weight of choice. The voice that spoke through the shrine had faded, but its message lingered. The covenant between his people and the sea was not broken, it was waiting to be renewed. Determined, Urashima took a deep breath and resolved to rebuild his village and restore its forgotten legacy. The next morning, as the first light of dawn kissed the horizon, Urashima began his work. He gathered stones from the ruins, smoothing their surfaces with care, and placed them in neat rows to form the foundations of new dwellings. The process was slow and painstaking, but with every stone he set, the vision of the village he remembered grew clearer in his mind. Word of his efforts spread across the nearby regions, carried by fishermen who passed along the shore. Drawn by curiosity and respect, others began to arrive, descendants of those who once lived in the village, as well as strangers seeking a new home. They brought their strength, skills, and stories, joining Urashima in his labor. Together, they rebuilt not only the structures of the village but also a sense of community and purpose. As the village came to life, Urashima shared the tale of the Dragon Palace and the covenant that once tied his people to the sea. He taught the villagers to honor the ocean, not only as a provider of sustenance but also as a guardian of dreams and stories. The shrine of Ryujin was restored to its former glory, and the villagers began offering prayers and gifts to the sea once more. One fateful evening, as Urashima gazed out at the horizon, the familiar silhouette of the sea turtle appeared. The creature swam to the shore and met his gaze with wisdom and approval. Though it did not speak, its presence conveyed a message. Ryujin had seen the renewal of the village and the restoration of harmony. Urashima smiled, his heart filled with gratitude. The bond between his people and the sea was stronger than ever, and the village he had loved now thrived with new life. Though he bore the marks of time and age, he felt a youthful joy in knowing that his efforts would endure long after him. As years passed, the story of Urashima Taro became a legend, told around fires and at village gatherings. It was said that on nights when the moon shone brightly on the sea, a gentle figure could be seen walking the shoreline, watching over the village and the waves. As word of Urashima's efforts spread and villages old and new arrived to aid in the rebuilding, a tapestry of diverse individuals began to take shape. Each person brought unique skills, stories, and dreams, and their interactions with Urashima were as varied as the waves themselves. One of the first to arrive was Akiko, a spirited weaver who had heard tales of the village from her grandmother. She had brought with her a loom and bolts of cloth, eager to recreate the vibrant textiles that once adorned the homes of the village. "You're the man in the story, aren't you? The one who went to the Dragon Palace," she said to Urashima with wide-eyed curiosity. Though skeptical at first, she became one of his most loyal allies, often staying up late into the night to weave banners that bore symbols of the sea, restoring a sense of pride to the fledgling community. Then there was Hikaru, a weathered fisherman from a nearby coastal village. He initially regarded Urashima with suspicion. Why waste time rebuilding when the sea could swallow this place again? He grumbled. But as he witnessed Urashima's dedication, Hikaru softened. One day, he approached Urashima with a gift, a sturdy net he had woven, strong enough to weather any storm. "If you're determined to rebuild, you'll need this," he said, his tone gruff but his eyes betraying respect. Among the new arrivals was also Sora, a young poet who had grown up hearing legends of the sea. He was drawn not just to the physical rebuilding of the village but to the idea of renewing its spirit. He would often sit by the shrine of Ryujin, composing verses that captured the beauty of the ocean and the resilience of the villages. "This place isn't just bricks and mortar," he told Urashima one evening. "It's a story waiting to be retold." The relationships between Urashima and the villagers grew deeper as they faced challenges together. When a powerful storm swept through the area, damaging their early progress, it was Mikio, a carpenter, who rallied the group with his calm demeanor and resourcefulness. "The sea tests us, but it also teaches us," he said, his words echoing the wisdom Urashima had heard in the Dragon Palace. Together, they rebuilt what was lost, stronger than before. Urashima became not only a leader but also a mentor, sharing the lessons he had learned during his time in the Dragon Palace. He encouraged the villagers to honor the sea, teaching them rituals to express gratitude and respect. One evening, as they gathered to offer their first ceremonial gift to the shrine of Ryujin, Urashima spoke. "This village will not just be a place to live. It will be a bridge between the land and the ocean, a testament to what we can achieve when we remember our connection to the world around us. The villagers listened, their hearts full of hope and determination. Over time, the village flourished, becoming not only a home but a sanctuary where the wisdom of the sea and the resilience of its people were woven together into an unbreakable bond. Years passed, and the village thrived as a beacon of resilience and unity. Its people, old and new, worked together to create a home that honored both the sea and the land. The shrine of Ryujin became a central gathering place, where villagers offered prayers and gifts to the dragon god, thanking the ocean for its bounty and its guidance. Urashima Taro, though aged and weary, was filled with a quiet joy. He often sat by the shore, watching the waves and reflecting on his journey. The bond he had once formed with the Dragon Palace had not faded. In his heart, he still felt the wisdom and kindness of Otohime and the enchantment of the undersea world. Yet, he knew that his true legacy lay not in the palace but in the village he had rebuilt and the people who now called it home. One moonlit night, as the villagers gathered for their annual festival honoring the sea, Urashima stood by the shrine and addressed them. His voice, though soft, carried the weight of his experiences. This village is more than a place. It is a bridge between the sea and the land, a reminder of the harmony we can find when we honor our connections. The waves may rise, the winds may howl, but together, we endure, just as the ocean and the earth endure. The villagers listened in reverent silence, their hearts stirred by his words. When the festival ended, and the lanterns floating on the water mirrored the stars above, Urashima walked to the shore one final time. There, the familiar figure of the sea turtle awaited him. It gazed at him with a wisdom that transcended words, as if to say, "Your work here is done." Urashima stepped into the waves, his heart at peace. The villagers who watched could not say what happened next, for in the gentle embrace of the tide, he seemed to fade like a whisper carried away by the sea. Yet, his presence lingered in the village, in the stories they told, in the rituals they performed, and in the dreams of those who listened to the sound of the waves. Answer: the tale of Urashima Taro became a legend, a story of kindness, courage, and the enduring bond between humanity and the sea. It was said that on quiet nights, when the moonlight danced on the water, the spirit of Urashima could still be felt, watching over the village and guiding it like the steady rhythm of the tide. The Crane Wife. In a quiet village nestled between rolling hills and fields of silver reeds, there lived a humble farmer named Takao. Each day, he toiled in the fields, his hands calloused and his body weary from the labor that kept his simple life afloat. Yet, beneath the hardships, Takao harbored a heart of kindness that shone brighter than any star. One bitterly cold winter's evening, as snow blanketed the earth in a hushed stillness, Takao heard a faint cry outside his home. Curious and concerned, he stepped into the night, lantern in hand, and followed the sound to the edge of the woods. There, tangled in a hunter's cruel trap, was a beautiful crane. Its snow-white feathers were stained with streaks of crimson, and its dark eyes glimmered with pain. Without hesitation, Takao knelt beside the creature. "Don't worry," he whispered gently. "I'll help you." With careful hands, he freed the crane from the trap and carried it to safety. Despite its injuries, the bird flapped its wings and took to the sky, disappearing into the wintry night. Takao watched until it vanished, unaware that his act of compassion had set destiny into motion. The following day, as the morning sun melted the frost, Takao was startled by a soft knock at his door. When he opened it, a young woman stood before him, her beauty as radiant as the dawn. She wore a simple yet elegant kimono, her hair cascading like streams of ink, and her eyes held a depth that seemed to pierce his very soul. "I am Yukiko," she said, her voice as soft as a drifting snowflake. "I am a traveler with nowhere to go. May I stay with you for a while?" Though Takao was a solitary man, something about Yukiko's presence filled his home with warmth, as if spring had come early. He welcomed her in, and as days turned into weeks, the two grew close. Yukiko's laughter brought light to his lonely heart, and her gentle hands brought life to his modest home. Before long, the two were wed, their bond as unshakable as the mountains surrounding the village. One day, when Takao despaired over a poor harvest, Yukiko approached him with an idea. "Let me weave a cloth for you," she said. "It will fetch a good price at the market. But you must promise me one thing: never look inside the room while I am working." Though puzzled, Takao agreed. Yukiko disappeared into a small room in their home, locking the door behind her. For 3 days and 3 nights, the soft sound of a loom echoed through the house. Finally, she emerged, pale and tired, but holding a cloth so fine and shimmering it seemed to be woven from moonlight itself. When Takao took the cloth to the village market, it caused a stir like nothing he had ever witnessed. The threads shimmered like captured moonlight, and the fabric seemed almost alive, glowing softly in the winter sun. Merchants and nobles alike clamored to buy it, offering far more than Takao had ever dared to dream of earning. With the coin he received, Takao was able to stock his pantry with enough food to last through the harshest winters. He repaired the roof of his home and even set aside money for the future. Life seemed brighter than it had been in years, and he owed it all to Yukiko. But as time passed, the market demand for the miraculous cloth grew insatiable. Neighbors and merchants began visiting Takao's home, urging him to produce more. Feeling their pressure, Takao hesitated, but Yukiko saw the worry etched on his face and reassured him. "If it will ease your heart, I will weave another cloth," she said with a gentle smile. "But remember, you must not look in on me while I work." Once again, Yukiko disappeared into the small room, the door locked behind her. For 3 days and nights, the sound of her loom filled the house, steady as a heartbeat. When she finally emerged, she was even paler than before, her delicate hands trembling slightly. Yet, in her arms, she carried another masterpiece, this one even more breathtaking than the first. Takao marveled at her skill and artistry, but a small seed of unease began to grow in his heart. Each time she wove, Yukiko seemed to fade. Her radiant glow dimmed, and her laughter grew quieter. Though he loved her deeply, his curiosity and concern gnawed at him like an itch he could not ignore. One cold evening, as Yukiko retreated to weave yet another cloth, Takao paced the room, unable to shake the feeling that something was wrong. The sound of the loom was rhythmic and soothing, yet it carried an undertone of strain. His mind swirled with questions. Who was Yukiko? How could she create such wondrous cloth? And why must he never look? Finally, his resolve crumbled. Overcome with worry, he approached the door of the weaving room and gently pushed it open. What he saw froze him in place. Sitting at the loom was not Yukiko the woman, but a crane, a magnificent bird with snow-white feathers and eyes full of sorrow. Its beak held a single feather, which it plucked from its own body to weave into the shimmering cloth. The process was painful, and the crane's movements were slow and labored, yet it continued without pause. The crane looked up and saw Takao standing in the doorway. Its dark eyes held a mixture of sadness and understanding. In that moment, the spell was broken, and the crane's form began to shift, shimmering and fading into the Yukiko he knew and loved. The air in the room grew still, heavy with the weight of unspoken truths. Takao's voice caught in his throat as he gazed at Yukiko, now returned to her human form, though her shoulders slumped and her expression was filled with quiet pain. She stood slowly, her hands trembling as they folded over her chest. "You were not supposed to see," she said softly, her voice barely more than a whisper. "I warned you for a reason, Takao. This is who I truly am, a crane, not a woman. I took this form to stay by your side and to ease your hardships. But now that my secret is known, I cannot remain." Takao fell to his knees, overcome with a mix of sorrow, regret, and love. "Yukiko," he pleaded, tears welling in his eyes, "I don't care if you were a crane or a woman. You brought light into my life, a light I never thought I'd find. I only opened the door because I was worried for you. I wanted to ease your burden, not push you away. Please, forgive me." Yukiko's eyes shimmered with unshed tears as she stepped closer to him. She knelt beside him and placed a hand on his cheek, her touch as soft as a feather. "Your love and kindness mean more to me than words can say," she murmured. "But my place is no longer here. The world I come from and the world you belong to cannot coexist. If I stay, I will only bring you more pain." Takao shook his head, unwilling to accept her words. "Then stay and we'll create our own world, one where we can both belong. Yukiko, I cannot lose you." For a long moment, the two sat in silence, the sound of the winter wind outside the only accompaniment to their quiet heartbreak. Finally, Yukiko stood, her movements graceful yet filled with an air of finality. "I must return to where I came from," she said, her voice steady though her tears betrayed her sorrow. "But I will carry the love we shared in my heart, and I will watch over you from afar. This is not goodbye, Takao, not truly." She stepped toward the open window, the moonlight illuminating her like a halo. Before Takao could stop her, Yukiko began to transform once more, her human form dissolving into feathers and light. The crane, majestic and pure, spread its wings and leapt into the air. With one final glance, it soared into the night sky, disappearing beyond the hills. Takao remained at the window long after she was gone, his heart aching with both loss and gratitude. Though Yukiko had left, her presence lingered, in the warmth she had brought to his home, in the shimmering cloths she had woven, and in the memories that would remain with him forever. In the days after Yukiko's departure, Takao felt the absence of her laughter, her warmth, and the light she brought to his once lonely home. Yet, in the silence that followed, he began to notice traces of her lingering presence. The shimmering cloths she had woven hung carefully in his home, catching the sunlight and casting patterns of light on the walls. Her voice, her touch, and her kindness seemed to echo in the stillness, a part of her spirit forever intertwined with his life. Determined to honor her, Takao sought to live a life that reflected the lessons he had learned from their time together. He took better care of the land, tending to his fields with a new sense of purpose. He offered small gifts of grain to the wild cranes that gathered at the edge of the fields, a quiet prayer of gratitude for the love he had been given. The shimmering cloths that Yukiko had left behind became prized treasures in the village. Takao, however, refused to sell them, knowing that they were more than mere fabric. They were symbols of her sacrifice, her love, and the bond they had shared. Instead, he used the cloths sparingly, gifting small pieces to villagers in need or to celebrate special occasions. Each piece was given with a quiet explanation. This was made by someone who loved deeply and gave selflessly. May it bring you the same courage and kindness she gave me. Over time, Takao became known throughout the village not just as a farmer but as a storyteller. On cold winter nights, he would gather the children around the hearth and tell them the tale of the crane who had taken human form to share her life with a lonely man. Though he never mentioned her name, the story became a cherished legend, passed from one generation to the next. And yet, there were moments when Takao felt her presence more strongly than ever. On moonlit nights, as the silver light bathed the fields, he would see a lone crane standing at the edge of the reeds, its snowy feathers glowing softly in the dark. It never came close, but it always watched, its dark eyes filled with an unspoken connection. Takao would raise a hand in greeting, and though the crane never answered, he felt a deep sense of comfort, as though Yukiko was still watching over him. Years passed, and Takao grew old. His hands, once strong from years of toil, became frail, but his heart remained full of the love that Yukiko had given him. On his final day, as he lay in his home surrounded by villagers who loved and respected him, he looked to the window and saw, for the last time, the figure of a crane standing in the moonlight. With a faint smile, he closed his eyes, his heart at peace. The villagers found him the next morning, his face serene and his hands resting on the shimmering cloth that Yukiko had woven. They buried him at the edge of the fields, beneath a tree where the cranes often gathered. From that day on, it was said that a lone crane could always be seen near his resting place, its watchful presence a reminder of a love that transcended time and form. Years turned to decades, but the story of Takao and Yukiko, the farmer and the crane, continued to echo through the village, carried on the voices of those who remembered and cherished it. The shimmering cloths that Yukiko had woven became treasured heirlooms, passed down from one generation to the next. Each piece carried the memory of her love and her sacrifice, a tangible thread that connected the present to the past. Over time, the villagers began to see the cloths as more than mere fabric. They believed that each glimmering thread held a blessing, a symbol of the kindness and selflessness that Yukiko had embodied. New traditions formed around these relics. The cloths were gifted during weddings as blessings for enduring love, draped over the cradles of newborns to wish them gentle lives, and displayed during festivals honoring the cranes that soared gracefully over the fields. The legacy of Yukiko's love inspired the villagers to value compassion and selflessness in their daily lives. Farmers shared their harvests with neighbors in need. Artisans worked together to create beauty for the community, and elders told stories that reinforced the importance of kindness. Even the wild cranes that gathered near the fields became symbols of grace and unity, and the villagers began to leave offerings for them as a gesture of gratitude. One spring, the villagers decided to honor Yukiko's memory with a festival. They named it the Crane's Blessing, a celebration of the love and sacrifice that had shaped their lives. Lanterns shaped like cranes were lit and sent drifting into the night sky, their soft glow reflecting on the waters of the river. Songs were sung, and dances were performed, each one carrying echoes of the story of Yukiko and Takao. As the festival grew over the years, visitors from distant regions came to witness the beauty and hear the legend. Merchants, travelers, and storytellers carried the tale far beyond the village, spreading its message to new generations. In distant towns, children learned of the crane who gave her feathers for love, and elders whispered of how even the smallest acts of kindness could create ripples that reached across time and space. Though Takao and Yukiko were long gone, their presence remained deeply felt. It was said that on quiet nights, when the moonlight illuminated the fields, a lone crane could be seen standing near Takao's resting place. The villagers believed it was Yukiko, watching over them, her spirit woven into the very fabric of their lives. The legacy of their love endured, not just in cloth or story, but in the hearts of those who lived by the example they set. The village became more than a place to live. It became a living testament to the power of love, sacrifice, and the bonds that connect all beings, even across the boundaries of time and form. As the years rolled by, the Crane's Blessing Festival became the heart of the village's identity, a celebration that united its people and kept alive the values that Yukiko and Takao had inspired. Stories were told, and songs were sung that spoke of love's transformative power and the beauty of selflessness. In every woven thread, in every lantern that floated into the night sky, Yukiko's legacy shone brightly. One particularly still and moonlit night, decades after Takao's passing, a young child wandered to the edge of the fields. She had heard the elders' tales about the crane who watched over the village, and her heart was full of innocent wonder. Standing by the reeds, she spotted a lone crane, its snowy feathers glowing faintly in the moonlight. It turned its dark, gentle eyes toward her and bowed its head, as if acknowledging her curiosity. The child, feeling both awe and a strange comfort, hurried back to tell the villagers. They gathered at the edge of the fields and saw the crane standing vigil near Takao's resting place. Though none dared approach, they felt the quiet assurance of its presence, a reminder that the bond between Takao and Yukiko, between love and sacrifice, transcended time. The crane remained a cherished symbol, visiting the fields from time to time, its appearance bringing joy and peace to the villagers. And while it came and went with the seasons, the spirit of Yukiko was always felt. Her love, woven into the very fabric of the village, endured as a source of inspiration and hope for all who lived there. Generations later, the story of Takao and Yukiko was still told, its lessons as relevant as ever. The shimmering cloths were treasured relics, their luminous threads a testament to the profound connection between two souls, one human, one crane, that changed the lives of everyone they touched. In the end, the village became a living legacy of love, where the memories of Takao and Yukiko lingered in the hearts and dreams of those who carried their story forward. And somewhere, in the quiet places where the moonlight met the earth, the crane's soft wings could still be heard, whispering its eternal watch over the fields, the village, and the love that had endured beyond all boundaries. Thank you for being a part of Calm Cloud Chronicles. What kind of stories help you relax the most? Please let us know in comments below. If you enjoyed this story, let us know by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Until next time, stay peaceful and keep dreaming.